Let's make some noise. Come on.
Oh, thank you once again, Nick Foles, for that great intro. Yes, indeedy. Make some noise, everybody. Welcome back to the Final Word with MattyB here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Your final stop, your final word, or my final word, our final word, the final word on your Philadelphia Sports Day. On this lovely Tuesday, May the 6th, 2025, and the Phillies get back in the win column emphatically tonight. 8-4, 7 dominating innings by Zach Wheeler. The offense did quite a bit. 3 home runs tonight. Phillies are on a home run tear over their last few games. Again, I don't like it. I'm not going to lie. They've hit, 4? They've hit 10 home runs in their last 4 games. I don't like that. I don't. And yes, I am going to be nitpicky about the Phillies offense because I don't want to see this type of offense. I want to see the offense that kind of pulled them out of this little skid that they were on. The offense that I saw in Chicago. That's the offense I want to see. That scrape and claw offense, that contact hitting offense. But I, of course, ain't going to look a gift horse in the mouth. 8-4. Bullpen continues to get you on the edge of the seat. No lead is safe for the Phillies bullpen as they dominate. They demonstrated that again tonight. As Kirkering and Strom, a wonky 2 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs between them. They were both earned 3 strikeouts and 2 walks as they limped down the stretch there, but got the 8-4 victory over the Rays in Steinbrenner Field, the spring training home of the New York Yankees. All kinds of things wrong with that, but we're going to continue the Phillies conversation that was so adequately started by Steve Fuentes over on the Fighting's Final. We're going to get into some of the things we did not talk about last night as we went off. I went 54 minutes talking Flyers yesterday. Nobody tapped me on the shoulder to tell me you're talking about hockey way too long, but because I'll ramble about hockey for hours. I think we're going to get into why I think we have arrived at the overhyped season that we always seem to do at this particular moment of the Eagle or the football offseason. People are now done with all the pleasantries of the Super Bowl championship. They're done with the pleasantries of the free agency. The draft was the crescendo event. And now it's time to get back to business. And people are starting to get a little antsy about that. And they're going to get even more antsy next week when they release the schedule. And then we still got a few more months before we get to football. So what do Philadelphia Eagles fans do? Well, they overhype. They start dreaming of visions of repeat NFL championships in their head. We'll get into some of that as well. The Flyers still feeling the effects of falling all the way from 4 to 6 in the NHL draft. But as reported last night, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing because I think still the players that I covet at least in this year's draft will be there. Maybe we'll continue on with the Flyer conversation. We'll talk a little bit more about Roger McLean, who I still believe, even with the injury issues, and he has them. He's got a few of them, and they're all the bad kind, right? The back. And he also had an undisclosed lower body injury that kept him out of most of the season. Only played 17 games this year for Brandon. But I still think he's that type of centerman that you want, you covet. 6'5", 200 pounds. Are you kidding me? Please sign me up. Maybe we'll continue the conversation a little bit about Roger and about why I think he should be a Flyer first-round pick at 6 overall. And we'll get the of the night segment, the card review, and, of course, the best thing of the night, the card review. I always build up the card review as the best thing of the night. This day in Philadelphia sports history is pretty fun, too. So we got a lot to get through. And Barbara leading us off tonight. Barbara, how you doing? MLB has to do something with teams like Tampa Bay, Marlins, Colorado, even the Pirates. Do they even have any fans? Barbara, money makes the world go round, right? And it doesn't really matter who likes them or who likes you. If you got the dinero, you're going to get the team. And that's the example of those types of fan bases. Pittsburgh, I disagree. I think that I think the Pirates have a loyal fan base. They're just long suffering, and they've stopped drinking their Kool-Aid years ago. As far as Tampa and Colorado and Miami go, yeah, it's rough keeping franchises in markets like that because, one, especially in Florida, where there's really, how many native Floridians do you run into on the streets of Florida if you're ever there? Everyone's got the same story. I'm from the north. I'm from the east. I'm from the west. I'm down here on vacation, spending a few months with my relatives, chilling out. I've come here to escape. No one ever tells you, well, yeah, born and bred in Tampa. Yep, I'm a a lifelong Tampa Bayan. Yeah, I agree. It's tough when you have a transplant community to begin with. And that's why I think spring training baseball does so well in Florida, obviously, because people get to see their teams that they grew up rooting all their lives down there and play. In Colorado, same type of thing. You know, it's not really a conducive climate for baseball. They got like 2 months of summer and the rest is snow. So you're right. But as I said, you got the money. You got the time. And that's really the bottom line. And I disagree. I don't think MLB has to do anything about that. I think in an open market, you do what you want. And as long as they can keep the thing going, so be it. It's easy wins for the other. It's easy wins for the rest of us, Barbara. That's why you have to kind of look at it. But let's get into this thing tonight. By the way, before we start, I'm going to remind everybody that this show is proudly sponsored by the fine folks here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, purveyors of such programs as the P&M in the AM program with Pat Bernard and Mike Laro every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. We relaunched them last Sunday, and they're here to stay. So be on the lookout for them this Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then Thursday night, the Attacking Third with Steve and Pat talking everything Union and talking everything MLS every Thursday night here at 9 p.m. on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. So let's get it going. Let's strap up, strap in, strap on. Keep your hands, head, and feet inside the car at all times. And let's roll with our night or day in Philadelphia sports history. Back in 1976, when I was 3 years old, man, dating myself here. Reggie Leach scored 5 goals, man. 5 goals, a Flyers point. Reggie Leach scores 5 goals in a Game 5 semifinal win of the Flyers over the Boston Bruins 6-3. His postseason heroics in 76 had the Flyers playing in their 3rd straight Stanley Cup Finals. Of course, this is that vaunted 3rd year after winning back-to-back cups. They went up against the Canadiens, did not seal the deal for three-peat, but they got back to the finals in 76 before falling to the original 6 Canadiens, which I heard. Now, of course, I wasn't here for this. I mean, I was here, but I wasn't like plugged into the Flyers at 3. But to the amusement and pleasure of the rest of the NHL, because they had grown tired of the Broad Street Bullies. And how fittingly was it that a team like the Canadiens, an original 6 team, took the trophy back from the upstart Flyers. So that finals had a whole other level of things going on. Leach would earn Conn Smythe Trophy honors as the playoff MVP, a very auspicious thing to do, especially when your team A does not get to the Stanley Cup Finals, and of course B does not win the finals. To win the Conn Smythe based on 2 or 3 rounds of preliminary playoff play, that's pretty impressive. Now, we had Ron Hextall won the Conn Smythe back in '87 for his play, but that was all the way through to 7 games of the Stanley Cup Finals. This was done they lost they lost in the finals, but that's right, they lost in the finals. What am I talking about? Just scratch all that, because they did get to the finals and they lost. But a very auspicious thing to do, to win the Conn Smythe when you're part of the losing team. He set records for most goals in a single playoffs with 19. So 19 goals registered that season by Reggie Leach in the playoffs. The record was tied by Yari Curry in '85, but it still stays as that is now. No one's broken it. Yari Curry just tied it for the Edmonton Oilers in '85. So Reggie Leach, 5 goals against the Bruins, as in the 76 Stanley Cup semifinals, I guess they called them back then. It wasn't like the division, or it wasn't your conference. It was the Stanley Cup semis. And as the Flyers fell, or they would eventually fall to the Canadiens in the finals. But Reggie Leach with 5 goals tonight. That is your day in Philadelphia sports history. And talking a lot of Flyers lately, man. I'm digging it. All right, so let's turn the conversation right on back to the fighting Phillies. Zach Wheeler tonight, man. You guys were here when I did my all-time Phillies roster, and I pointed out all my all-time Philly position players plus a starting 5 rotation. I put Zach Wheeler as my 5th all-time Philly starter in history. That's how good this guy is. Now, he wasn't this good before he came here. He was very good with the Mets, but he is like other level type stuff since he's been here. And even a bad Zach Wheeler night is about 90%. Is good enough as 90% of the pitchers in this league. Zach Wheeler is truly an ace. And we've been very blessed to have that stabilizing force in this rotation over the last 3 or 4 years. And I'm not going to sit here. I guess I have some wood right here. So I'm going to knock on some wood by saying picks up the ball every fifth day. And not only does he pick up the ball every fifth day, he delivers quality starts. Another 7 strong innings tonight. What was his final on the line? 7, 4 hits, 2 runs. They were earned, 9 strikeouts, a home run, 84 pitches through 7 innings. I can live with that. Now, in old school baseball, and this is where Rob Thompson, the Thompson factor, as I like to call it, sort of kind of butts in there. In old school baseball, they would have let him ride. They would have rode him out to the 9th inning. They would have pitched him until he couldn't pitch no more, or until he got into some major trouble. But he was cruising along. And 86 pitches, was that 86 pitches, right? 86 pitches through 7 innings, or 84 pitches through 7 innings. I can live with that. That's like old school numbers right there. I was surprised, especially with the problems with the bullpen, and especially with the overuse of the bullpen lately, that they took him out in the 8th. And of course, what would happen, Kirkering would come in. Kirkering's lost. He's lost. It was a great little experiment. It had a lot of potential. Potential has not been lived up to. It's time to make a move at Kirkering. He has options. I don't know why we're keeping him here. We could move him down. Give Mick Abel a shot at this point. Bring him up. But Ryan Kirkering can't be trusted in 1-run games, and he obviously can't be trusted in 5-run lead games or 6-run lead games because it just doesn't look right. He looks scared. You see his eyes, how big his eyes are right now? He's like a kid out there. And then Matt Strahm comes in, herky-jerking his way through the 9th. I was watching his delivery in the 9th, especially with runners on base. Why didn't they balk him like 3 different times? 3 different times he didn't come fully set before he pitched. And I was keeping an eye on that, and he got away with every single one of them. I find that very interesting. But the Phillies bullpen found a way to almost snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory. They did not. They were staked to too big of a lead, and they were able to pull this thing out. 8-4. Phillies with the 20th win on the year. Good feat to be at right now. You want to be in that 20-win club. You want to join the upper echelon of teams in Major League Baseball with 20 or more wins. Let's take a look at who they join. Let's pull up the standings real quick. So the Yankees got 20 wins. Tigers got 22. The Guardians have 21. The Royals have 21. The Mariners have 20. And the A's have 20 wins? What the hell's going on? The Sacramento A's are 20-16. Wow. So I don't really pay attention to standings before the All-Star break, but I'm looking at it right here. So essentially the A's and the Phillies are the same type of record right now. I'll take that. The Mets with 23, the Cubs with 22, Dodgers with 24, Padres with 23, and the Giants with 22. And the Phillies are coming in on the low end there, and they joined the 20-win club in Major League Baseball on this May 6th. So that's positive. Wow, the A's got 20 wins. Wow, man. Ricky is watching. Ricky, how are you? And thank you for joining us tonight here on the program. I'm blown away by the A's. The Sacramento A's are 20-16. The Phillies are 20-15. So keep an eye on that for the rest of the season. Offensively for the Phillies, again, 3 home runs tonight. I don't like it. I know it sounds nitpicky. It sounds elitist. It sounds spoiled. I don't like that offense. I don't. I want to see the offense that pulled them out of this little streak. I want to see the offense from Chicago, but they got 3 home runs and they got them from interesting people tonight. Kyle Schwarber continues to astonish me. Batting now .258 on the year for the night, 3 for 4, 2 runs, 2 RBIs, and a homer and a walk. I would have to say, if you're casting your All-Star ballot here on May 6th, Kyle Schwarber's an All-Star right now. If the All-Star game was tomorrow, Kyle Schwarber is a lockdown All-Star, maybe the only one from the Phillies this year. But right now, Kyle Schwarber is my leading candidate to represent the Phillies at the All-Star game. And the home run, not the home run. I don't want him in the home run derby, but definitely I think he's earned his ride to the All-Star game this year through the first month and a half. Definitely playing like an All-Star. So Kyle Schwarber continues to slap a mean stick. Alec Bohm, stop the presses, folks. We got a home run from Alec Bohm. He was two for 4 with a run. A homer. His average is up now to 237. He's got a 2-hit night batting in the 8 hole where he belongs, batting in that 8 hole. Brandon Marsh got himself a hit tonight, still batting down by 143. So all in all, Max Kepler, what was Kepler? 0 for 3 as he cooled off a little bit tonight. Castellanos, another big night, 3 for 5, 2 runs, 4 RBIs, a homer. Harper was 2 for 5 with a couple of hits as well. So the Phillies got contributions from people that you expect them, and maybe Alec Bohm you don't. So you got to kind of give him that. And a good win, a good quality win against the Tampa Bay team that, is playing like a team that doesn't have a home. And they don't, playing out of Steinbrenner Field down there in Tampa. What's it like when the Yankees come there and play the Rays? I mean, do the Yankees get their facilities when they come in? Do they get their locker room, or do they have to go to the visitor side? Would it be weird, you think, if you're the visiting team to your own spring training home? Like Aaron Boone's office in Steinbrenner Field, is that being used by the Rays manager, and he has to use the visiting team's office? I mean, do you feel a little slighted, a little jilted, if you're the Yankees coming into your own spring training facility and being treated as the visitors? I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know how I would feel about that if I was a Yankee player. I don't know. But I guess money makes the world go round, as we just were talking about. So, they rented it out, so they got to be the visitors. But big time win for the Phillies tonight, 8-4, 20-15 now on the season. Tomorrow night, Chris Sanchez will go as the Phillies will try to win this series, their 8th of the season, and keep this good time of rolling into Cleveland over the weekend, which should be a very interesting series. I'm really looking forward to that Cleveland Guardians series, very much so. And if you're watching here on the network, and I know you are, you better be tuned into the greatest in Philly post-game entertainment ever. Not since, but ever. Steve Fuentes had you tonight. Mike Laro will take you tomorrow. And I, MattyB, will have you on Thursday night to wrap up this series against the Rays. So big time win tonight for the Phillies. Bullpen still leaving a lot to be desired. Zach Wheeler continues to be that guy. And, if there's anybody on this team that you would want to win a World Series for, it has to be Zach Wheeler, right? What he's done for this team, he's been the one constant among all this stuff throughout this run since 2022. He has been that one constant. He doesn't get up. He doesn't get down. He's been very level, and that level has been dominant. And if you want to go out and win a World Series for somebody, it's got to be him. I really feel that you gotta go out there and try to win it for him, because he deserves it, man. The work he's done since he's been here, he deserves a World Series. And Dombrowski and Middleton got to get him one. He deserves to win a World Series. And then the final point on the Phillies, and we'll move off of it. Kyle Schwarber, and I can't believe I'm saying it. Finally, after all these years, it clicked. Now it clicked last year, to be fair. Kyle started batting for average. Now, he came in last season a little slimmed down. Maybe that was part of it. I don't know. But since last season, Kyle Schwarber has been a constant as well in this offense. And now that they've settled him in that 4th spot in the lineup, that 4 hole where he should have been from day one, now he's starting to pick up the big numbers because he's batting with runners on base. He's getting 2-run home runs, 3-run home runs. He's driving in runners with doubles and singles with runners on base. We're tapping into that max potential of his run producing ability. And he's continued that constant play through the first 35 games of 2024. So my hats are off to Zach Wheeler and Kyle Schwarber. The two constants, Zach Wheeler since he's been here, and Kyle Schwarber over the last 2 seasons. You can't ignore it, and you can't not be impressed, which I am. And it takes a lot to impress me. I'm the biggest curmudgeon out there. So they've impressed me a lot with their play. Phillies bullpen, what's the answer? What do we do? Is it a matter of sending people down? Do we have help within? Does Mick Abel come up and settle the bullpen issues? Or is it as simple as what we've been saying on this show, on other shows? You have also said it. Is it a matter of bullpen without roles is doomed to fail? Is Orion Kerkering a prime example of a pitcher that needs to be put into a role to feel comfortable, to get comfortable, and to get into a routine? Is Orion Kerkering suffering because of Rob Thompson and his lack of bullpen roles? If the Phillies decide to move off of him at one point, because right now, if they decide to trade him, not going to get much for him. But if somebody gets him who has an established bullpen and says, you are the 8th inning setup guy, or you're my 7th inning guy, and you're not being moved from that position. You will never pitch in any other situation but the 7th, 8th, or close, whatever the case may be. Does that unlock Orion Kerkering's ability and potential? And are the Phillies wasting that by not allowing Orion Kerkering to settle down in the bullpen and give him a role? And I think it's a point that needs to be examined. Rob Thompson wants to dodge questions all the time about players and about the way he manages. But is Rob Thompson damaging Orion Kerkering? Is Rob Thompson damaging Matt Strahm? Has Rob Thompson cost us multiple wins because of the way he incorporates that bullpen? Sunday was a prime example of how the Phillies, with a valiant comeback, but then ran out of pitching because the bullpen was mismanaged and you had Kerkering pitching in the 4th. So how much do you lay this on Rob Thompson and Cotham and all the rest of them down there by not giving Orion Kerkering a routine? Is it as simple as that? Is Orion Kerkering's problem or problems stemming from no routine? Because he's got the stuff. The kid can throw hard, but he just doesn't seem to be comfortable out there. Has anybody asked Rob Thompson? Has the vaunted Philadelphia sports media, who's so afraid to lose their credentials down at Citizen Bank Park, and so they're not going to ask you the hard questions, has anybody asked Rob Thompson, stuck a microphone, or first of all, put a mirror in his face to make sure he's alive, and then put a microphone and ask him the question, is Orion Kerkering suffering or struggling because of a bullpen with no role? I think it's something that needs to be looked at. And if the Phillies do move off of him and say, you know what, we're just not going to do it anymore, and he latches on with somebody else who does have an established bullpen with roles, how does that work out for him? So I hope the Phillies are not missing the boat with Orion Kerkering. I had high hopes and high expectations for him, especially the stuff that he had coming right from AA ball right to the Phillies in 2022. I was really impressed. And he showed moments of moxie in that World Series run, but it's been steadily downhill for him since. And what's the answer here? And what's the answer for the bullpen in general? Has Dave Dombrowski failed miserably with that bullpen? Do we have the wrong arms out there? Was Joe Ross not an acceptable replacement for Hoffman? Was Jordan Romano not an acceptable replacement for Estevez? And what do you do to fix it? There's some pitchers down there in AAA that might be able to come up here and at least help out in the bullpen, see what they got before you start pulling the switch on some massive trades. So the bullpen struggles, Phillies offense wakes up, and Zach Wheeler is once again dominant. All that equals to an 8-4 Phillies win, 20th win on the season now, and the Phillies are looking better, feeling better about themselves, I'm sure, as they're playing their games in Tampa, in sweaty, hot Tampa. A little personal note, I'm going to try to cut the show. The show's not going to run probably maybe close to an hour, but got a little flooding going on here. We've been getting a lot of rain, and our sump pump stopped working a few hours ago. And, of course, nobody noticed until you could do a cannonball off the basement steps. So we're in the midst of trying to fix that right now. So I'm going to have to, cut this short to get back down there on, water sweeping duty. So bear with me there. But no significant damage under the house, just some flooding. But yeah, so where do the Phillies stand? And how do you fix it? And these are questions that Dave Dombrowski is going to be forced to answer, and so was Rob Thompson. So, all right, that's going to do it. Let's pivot now, because I do want to get into some Eagles talk. I do want to explain overhyped season. I want to explain what I think that is, and I want to do it as nicely and as politically correct as I can, because I represent the people, right? I don't identify as one side of the fan base or the other. I think we're one big happy family, right? I think we should all be. We all stroll down the street at the same time holding hands. There's no infighting going on. There's nothing to see here, right? So I want to make sure that when I start attacking the friggin' window-licking homers out there, that it comes off the right way, that it's not viewed as me being a negadelphian or me being a hater or me being – I'm just a part of the same fan base as you are. That's right. That's right. We're together in all kinds of weather. Like it or not, we're together. And I represent you, you represent me, and that's what makes us such a strong family. And let's get into what I think is overhyped season. Super Bowl glory, Super Bowl hangover has ended. Eagles are the Super Bowl champions. That's sunk into everybody. Everyone's had an opportunity to take their victory laps, so to speak. We've gone through free agency, and the overhypeness did not start in free agency. The denial started in free agency, right? The denial of saying, you know what, Milton Williams can go. Yeah, we're good. Yeah. Josh Sweat. Yeah. You're good, man. Take off. See ya. Darius Slay. Yeah, man. We don't need you. Yeah. CJ, GJ, PJ, KJ, TJ. Yeah, man. You're good, man. We're going to trade your ass. Yeah, we're fine. Right? That was the denial fest. And then the denial fest continued with the signing of a bunch of Class B free agents to sort of fill in. And the funny part from my brother and sister side of the fan base was, oh, it's okay. All the Eagles need is depth. There's no true weaknesses on this defense or on this team. We just need to have some depth pieces. So the signings of how we made during free agency were great because they're depth. And then I started to think, because that's where my mind always goes, because I am that kind of guy. What are you talking about? We don't have contributors anymore. In order to have depth, you need to have the top layer. So you build upon that top layer with depth. Now, am I wrong or right? I'm asking, am I wrong or right? Right now, the Eagles don't have a top layer, a proven top layer, in a few key positions along that defense. Edge rusher, on the line, in the defensive backfield. We're missing key contributors all over the place on the starting defensive unit. So how can you and again, I'm being honest here. This is not about me hating Howie Roseman, which I don't hate him. This is not me believing in anything that this organization does anymore, because I don't believe in the philosophy. I don't believe in the people that are running the show down there. I'm out. I made no bones to that. I'm out. But how can people who are still in sit and look at the defense? One, look at the defense currently as it's structured now with a bunch of question marks all over the place. And then look at what they lost in terms of what the defense provided the team in 2024. How can you look at this group and say, yeah, we're going to win a Super Bowl? We're all intelligent human beings. We're all adults. We're all grown folk. Why is it hard for you to see that? And why is it so easy for me to see it? I guess I don't know. But are they a Super Bowl defending type team on the defensive side of the ball? And I stress, for those of you that might be tuning in for the very first time, welcome. I appreciate it. Like, share, and subscribe, by the way. I'm a firm believer that the defense was the number one reason why this football team won a Super Bowl last year. You take away the contributions of that defense, they don't win a Super Bowl. Hands down, end of story. End of story. Now, maybe you factor in some Saquon Barkley here, there too. I got to give the man his due here as well. But if you take away 100% of the contributions of that defense, if that defense plays one level lower than it actually did last year, the Eagles don't win a Super Bowl. I threw out the numbers. What was it? Heading into week 9 during the season, the Eagles entered that week with 9 forced turnovers on the season. At the end of the playoffs, 7. They had 7 forced turnovers as a defensive unit going into week 10. At the end of the playoffs, the Super Bowl, from week 10 up to the Super Bowl, the Eagles walked away with 26 turnovers. I'm sorry, to the end of the regular season. They went from 7 turnovers to 26 forced turnovers to the end of the regular season. Then they created 13 additional turnovers in the playoffs. If you are not a person who can look at that and say, that's probably why they won, then maybe we shouldn't be talking. But if you can see that, which I think most of you can, and you can sort of place some of the chronological order or the numerical factors of contributions as the defense, Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts being the least important contributor of the Super Bowl win. If you can't, I know you can. And I know most of you want to. Some of you are pressured into not doing it. Some of you are being held ransom by the radical left of the Philadelphia Eagle fan base. That you might lose your card, or you might get kicked off the island, or you might lose some sort of cred with them. It's okay. You have a safe place here. You can speak your mind without any sort of retaliation against you. You can speak your mind if you're on the radical left too. I don't care. But if you can't see that, and I know you can, and I know most of you think it, and that's why most of the homers out there hate me, because I say the things they think. I say the things they think and are afraid to say because they're going to be labeled as not a fan. They're going to be labeled as a negadelphian, all those types of things. No, you're a free think. You should be labeled as a free thinking individual to speak your damn mind, regardless of what the opinion is. So I know you see it and I know you think it, but you're afraid to say it. So heading into this season with a bunch of question marks from that defense, how can people really feel as if the Eagles are going to repeat as Super Bowl champions? Now, at the end of the day, whatever, the end in February, the Eagles might do it and they might repeat. The defense might step it up. Yes, I'm aware that Zach Bond came out of nowhere last year. I'm aware of the contributing factors of two rookies in Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, factoring deeply and heavily into that win. Those three players were part of that, big time contributors of that. And I 100% agree with that. Jalen Carter stepped into a whole other level of defensive pressure in 2024. I get that. And I'm not saying that they can't necessarily replicate that and just enter in a bunch of new names into those roles from last year and rise to that occasion. But the other side of that coin is how much of benefactors was Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, John, I don't know how you say it, Cooper DeJean, let's call him that. How much benefactors were they of the play of Darius Slay and CJ, PJ, KJ, DJ? How much did their game get elevated because of those two? And now that they're gone, are they able to take a step? Because we're going to ask them, they're going to have to step up and play a bigger role than they did in 2024. They were cast members in 2024. They were kind of, and I'm not saying they were in the shadows, but they sort of patrolled out there in that medium deep water area and picked their moments. Well, in 2025, they're going to be asked to be primetime, contributors to that defense. Are they able to step that into that role as year two players? We talk about sophomore slumps. Apparently, sophomore slump only exists in other places, but does not exist here, because I hear people bashing on Jaden Daniels and the rest of the Commanders by saying they're going to step down because it's the second year. Well, what about our young players? Why aren't they in that same boat? That could happen to them too. And how much does it happen? Zach Bond. Was he a benefactor of Milton Williams? Was he a benefactor of Josh Sweat? Was he a benefactor of that whole kind of thing they had going on up front? And did that make him a better linebacker? Was he also a benefactor of the Kobe Dean being out there next to him, which I don't think he might have been, because Dean went down, long before the end of the season. But how much does Zach Bond won, and how much is Zach Bond going to get schemed against directly now by defensive coordinators? And can he step into a bigger role? Because now he's going to have a target on his back. And can Zach Bond rise above? So you factor in that factor. You factor in the Class B free agents and a draft class full of defensive players that you drafted. How can you go into this season right now in 2025 in May completely over the top confident the Eagles are going to win a Super Bowl when there's so much uncertainty on the defensive side of the ball? And again, when this was all happening, when Slay was leaving, when Gardner Johnson was leaving, when Milton Williams was leaving, when Josh Sweat was leaving, when Becton left, when Isaiah Rodgers left, when all these guys left, I know even the biggest friggin' homers out there, even the biggest slobbering green stained tongue homers out there were like, how do I talk my way out of this? Because your eyes. You trust your eyes. You're intelligent people, but yet you're going to, rub your Howie decoder ring, and it all goes away. So, all I'm asking from the fan base is a consistent yes. There is some uncertainty on the defense. There is some questions on this defense that are not. This is not the same defense that walked off the field in 2025. And the moves that were made in the offseason, though potentially cost effective and helping this team down the road in 26 and 27, might be the right moves. But are these the moves that a team going to defend or try to repeat, try to create an Eagle dynasty, are those the type of moves that they need to be made? These are honest questions. Questioning that should be what we're doing instead of blindly saying, "Oh, win the Super Bowl." I just have a hard time digesting that, and I have a hard time when what I just said somehow is going to be thrown up against me again, which is fine. Small people, pick on people they can't come up against, and that's fine. Go ahead and pick on me, but I'm going to get vilified for this rant. I'm going to be told I'm a negadelphian. I'm going to be told that somehow I don't run Mayfair. Of course I run Mayfair. Boy, I am Mayfair. Mayfair is me. I've been rolling the streets of Mayfair for 50 years. Don't tell me I ain't Mayfair. Mayfair is me. All right. And I don't come from the upper crust of Mayfair. I don't even come from central Mayfair, man. I come from South Mayfair, down there on the Tacony border. All right. So I ran Tacony and Mayfair when I was growing up. So sit down and recognize. But how can you be so over the top confident, and how can you bag on people that aren't and still call yourselves true fans? I really don't get that. And I want to hear from what people out there might think. I really do. Barbara, welcome back. Welcome back to the conversation. It's definitely better when you're here. So, Barbara, we're talking about overhyped season. We're talking about how again, we're all one big happy fan base family, and I accept that, and I want to be part of that, and I want to be with you. But I'm talking about how can this one big happy fan family be so overhyped, a certain faction of it, a certain sector of it, call it the Homer section. How can they be so overconfident when there's so many holes, or not holes, uncertainty on defense? And I haven't even talked about the offense, because we are going to get into the offense here in a second. And I just want to know. And I think inquiring minds have a right to know. I really do. On 97.5, the Fanatique today, they were arguing because the Eagles had the 5th hardest schedule. I heard the 4th. I heard it was the 4th hardest schedule. But someone later said the Giants had the toughest schedule, and they didn't win the Super Bowl. LOL, these frontrunners. No, the Eagles do have a very... I don't know how the Giants could potentially have a harder schedule than the Eagles. The Giants finished with a last place record, so they play all the teams that the Eagles are playing from the other divisions. They're last place teams, right? Well, not all the other divisions. So let's look at it real quick. So the Eagles, or the NFC East, is playing the AFC West next year, right? So everyone's going to have to play everybody from the AFC West. Now, where the Eagles in their first placeness and the Giants in their last placeness will come into effect will be against the NFC South, and I believe against the NFC West, right? The South, because we only play. So the Eagles play the Buccaneers because the Buccaneers won the South. We're playing the Rams because the Rams won the West. We're playing the Bills because the Bills won the East, and the obvious geographic opposite of the AFC West is the AFC East. So in this case, the Giants would play who? Who was last place in the NFC South? Carolina. The Giants would play who was last place in the NFC West? Was it San Fran, or was it Arizona? I think it was San Fran, right? I don't remember. And then they would play the Jets or the Patriots out in the AFC East. So how the hell is that a harder schedule than the Eagles? That's not. I mean, this thing is a bear right here. This schedule is no joke. And I haven't even really got into that yet. No one's really talking about the schedule yet. We had that gauntlet thing going on in 2023. Well, they got sort of a gauntlet thing happening right here too. This is going to be an interesting road schedule come 2025. And we'll find out next week when all these games will actually happen. But I don't understand how anybody can say that. But anyway, now let's go to the offense. Let's talk offense for a second, because a vaunted group led by Saquon Barkley, who had himself a season. But is it a season that can be replicated? Can you replicate 2,500 rushing yards in 1 year? Can you do that? I mean, is that possible? I know the Walter Paytons and the Barry Sanderses and the players out there like that have done it, but I mean, is Saquon Barkley now in that category? And are the Eagles foolish? Because I have seen no upgrades at all from the offense. They're pretty much going with the same group they went with last year. Are they going to come in with the same plan? New offensive coordinator, by the way. Fatilla. What is it? You guys know what I'm talking about. New offensive coordinator. How much does that affect this offense? And then, of course, let's talk your quarterback. That's right. I'm going into the taboo subject right now. Jalen Hurts, who apparently I'm a Hurts hater. I guess I'm not. I think he's a damn good game manager. I really do. He's not elite, and I don't bow down to the Jalen Hurts statue, and I left my knee pads at home, right? I'll never do that, even the players I really like. But is Jalen Hurts, who was kind of rode the coattails of the rest of the offense last year, let's call it like it is he going to be forced to be more of a factor in the offense? We ran these numbers all the time, and I love pulling this one out. Where is it? That's not the one. So the Eagles and Jalen Hurts attempted 361 passes in 2024. Only 48 of them were to the middle of the field. No one's been able to answer me why. Still looking for an answer to that question. I think I know the answer, and I think you know the answer too, but you're afraid to say it. You're thinking what the answer is, and you're right, but you're afraid to say it. Jalen Hurts can't throw the ball to the middle of the field. He's got a problem threading the needle through those windows. He's got a problem with timing. He's got a problem with his checkdowns. He's got a problem with his progressions. He's got a problem reading defenses. And when the Eagles decided at the end of that Tampa game in week 4 to scrap the entire aerial attack and rely on Saquon Barkley, which is a stroke of genius, whoever decided to do that, it was gold. But are you expecting Saquon Barkley, or are Eagles fans, and maybe I'm off, maybe I'm wrong about this, but to expect Saquon Barkley to have a 2025 like he did, 2024, is that fool's gold? Because if that doesn't happen, and God forbid Saquon gets hurt, because our running back room is a little thin too, Shipley and A.J. Dillon, come on, man. Cam Scattaboo, now he's a Giant, would have looked real nice in midnight green. I'm telling you, you missed on that one. But A.J. Dillon and Will Shipley backing up Saquon Barkley. If Barkley goes down, our running game is over. And then guess what? Then you're going to have to rely on your quarterback. And that's why this hype around Dallas Goedert and about keeping him or losing him or moving on from him, trading for his replacement, drafting his replacement, all that stuff about Dallas Goedert is mute to me, because we're afraid to throw the ball to the middle of the field. We don't trust our quarterback to throw the ball to the middle of the field. Who hangs out in the middle of the field? The tight end. The tight end is a useless part of the Eagle offense. Grant Calcaterra and the 2 cast-offs that they picked up are probably pretty much all they need with tight ends. That's why that's why the Eagles didn't draft a tight end. That's why we totally ignored that position in the draft, because it's one of those positions now that are no longer necessary in a Jalen Hurts-led offense. I'm not hating on the guy. I'm just telling you the facts, telling you what I see, telling you what the evidence is presenting me. It's different. It's different than hating, all right? So what is the offense going to look like in 2025? Are they going to get theirs? Absolutely. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, they're going to eat. I understand that. But name me the first, second, or last time Jalen Hurts ever took this team on his shoulders and led him to a victory. And at some point, at some juncture, at some time, potentially this season, Jalen Hurts is going to be put in that position. Can he do it? I say he can't. He's a very good game manager. He's an above-average quarterback. Elite, he is not. A superstar, he is not. And that's fine. He's a Super Bowl champion. Can't take that away from him either. But without that defense, he ain't a Super Bowl champion. So it all goes back to the defense with me, and it all goes back to the overhypeness. Where is this team, and how can you feel so confident about that with all the uncertainty on the defense and the unfixed problems on the offense? So as we are deep into the overhype period, and it's going to get even deeper when, as Barbara says, I don't even know the schedule. I'll check it on May 14th when the schedule comes out. I don't even know the schedule. I'll check it on May 4th. Well, Barbara, I just showed it to you. Real quick, Barbara, if you want to see it, here it is. Now, here are the opponents in 2025. This is the opponents right here. Obviously, we'll find out on May 14th when and where. But here are the opponents that the Eagles are going to face in 2025, home and away. Home schedule looks pretty bland and vanilla. Kind of getting cheated out of some home games, if you ask me. That road schedule is going to be a bitch. All right. And if you're a Super Bowl champion, which the Eagles are, this is the perfect type of schedule for them to navigate through. It's going to be a tough one. But there you are. There you have it. The 2025 Eagles schedule, home and away. So I hope that puts it into some more context for you, Barbara. All right. So kind of finish up my point. We are one big happy fan base. One big happy fan base. And I accept that. And I'm glad to be part of it. But there's a side of this fan base that's extremely critical of the other side because we are split in two. I should probably split in three. But there's one side of the fan base that wants their voices to be heard above all. And that's kind of what a bully does. So don't listen to the bullies. Always formulate your own opinion and always speak your mind. And if you find it hard out there to do that, if you can't do it on the radio or on these other internet content type shows, come here and you can speak your mind, whatever you want to say. It doesn't have to be towards my narrative at all. It can be against my narrative. I don't care. But speak your mind. And respect others for their opinions too. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to accept me, but you do have to respect it because we're a grown-ass civilized people. So there you go. There's my overhype segment. And that was brought to you by the fine folks that do bring you the Final Word with MattyB, the premium in Final Word entertainment in the Philadelphia sports industry every Sunday through Thursday at 10 p.m. presented to you by me, the friggin' mayor of Mayfair. All right. I will be here every night, Sunday through Thursday, mostly if I don't have post-game duties, which I do on Thursday. So I won't be there here on Thursday. But every other night I can be here, I'll be here, here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. So there you have it, man. Kind of cooking with gas tonight, baby. Let's go on this one. Record-breaking seasons never duplicated. That's why they are so special when they occur. I concur. Now, listen, are we selling Saquon short? Maybe not. Maybe he comes out and busts off another 2,500 yards. Or maybe, what's his name, provided the blueprint on how to stop him in the Super Bowl, Spagnuolo. And now other teams are going to pick up on that. But if the other teams pick up on that, where do you go? Right? Where do you go? You go to Will Shipley and A.J. Dillon? I think the running back room was a miss. They screwed that up. There's no real depth there. And then where do you go? You go to Jalen Hurts. Now, Jalen Hurts would be the likely choice there because he's getting paid like a franchise quarterback. And there's a certain side of the fan base that believes he is a franchise quarterback. Is he truly a franchise quarterback? Because the last time with the same exact offense that he's running now, 2 years ago, they tried to pick up a group and lead them to the finish line. It blew up in his face. Is he capable of that? And are we about to see if he's capable of that this season? Like we all know, when the Eagles' old age is out of us, injured Hurts won't be able to win anything by throwing. It's easy to see. Like we all know, when the Eagles' old age is out of us, injured Hurts. What? Barbara, what are you trying to say? Won't be able to win anything by throwing. It's easy to see. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, and that's my point. Can Jalen Hurts carry this team? I don't think he can. And if the Eagles are forced to rely on Jalen Hurts and his arm, and the offense becomes extremely one-dimensional, and defenses know that Jalen Hurts has got problems reading defenses, he's got problems with his progressions and his checkdowns, we're going to see exactly what we saw in 2023. And Jalen Hurts is going to implode. Look at the Super Bowl winning quarterbacks over the last 25 years or so, and you'll see that Hurts had one of, if not the worst passing stats. Barbara, there's people out there. There are people that you know, and I'm going to say names, who actually put validity into his Super Bowl MVP award. There's people who believe that he actually was the most valuable player in Super Bowl 59. Again, that goes with the whole side of the fan base that refuses to see reality, that refuses to smell themselves in a certain way. To see that the Eagle defense was the number one reason, not only did they got there, but they won it, and to actually believe that Jalen Hurts won the MVP award because of merit, and actually was truly the MVP of the Super Bowl, really paints a violent picture to a certain side of the fan base that's refusing to look at reality and see what really is in front of them. Eagle defense doesn't play in that game. Eagle defense doesn't show up the way they showed up. The Eagles defense doesn't harass Pat Mahomes the way they did, create turnovers like they did. Eagles don't win that game. Jalen Hurts did not do anything remarkable in that Super Bowl. He didn't do anything remarkable in the championship game. He didn't do anything remarkable in the divisional game. None of it. It was all on the back or feet of Saquon Barkley and on the defense. And I'm just stating the fact. I am not trying to be disparaging of Jalen Hurts. There was a couple games last year where he was the shining star, but more so he wasn't. And his factors were the third factor, the third or the least, I would say, in the Eagles winning a Super Bowl last year. If you take away Jalen Hurts' contributions from the team last year, if they don't exist and Tanner McKees exist or Kenny Pickett's exist, and the other two are there with Saquon and with the defense, I think this team still wins the Super Bowl. Honestly do. I honestly believe that. Thanks for the schedule, Matty. I have to study it more. Yes, it's very daunting. Very daunting. I would have voted for Cooper DeJean or even Braun to win the Super Bowl. I wish they would have given it to the whole defensive unit. What's wrong with that? Let's set a trend with that. The whole defensive unit deserved it. But you're right. It should have been somebody on that side of the ball. It was obviously given to him because he's a quarterback, and that's what we're going to do. I think the only non-quarterback was Von Miller and Larry Brown. They're the only two who the non-quarterbacks in my lifetime that have ever won the MVP trophy. So I agree with you. All right, folks, we're getting to that hour. Let's wrap things up tonight. Let's get with our other night segment, and let's put this baby to bed. All right, our other night segment. We've been in hockey last couple nights. We talked about hockey last night, obviously on the heels of the draft lottery. We talked about a potential draft prospect target, Michael Misa, which I don't think is going to be there at 6. So tonight we're going to go right back to baseball for our MLB draft tracker. Phillies are picking 26, by the way, in the first round of the 2025 MLB draft, which will be held sometime here in mid-July. So tonight we're getting to the end of the first round into some second round selections. Seth Gamble, the shortstop outfielder from the IMG Academy in Florida. Gamble is a left-handed hitter who has a smooth and repeatable swing with a knack of finding the barrel, controlling the zone, and doing damage to all fields. As he's gaining strength, he's showing more raw power and should continue to leverage the ball and get even more extra base authority. He has moves along at quality at bats all summer to raise his profile. This was of last year. I have not checked on him, how he's progressed through this season. But this kid's a high schooler. He's a project. Obviously, he's a guy that you stash away into your system somewhere and you work him into becoming a Major League Baseball player. Low first round, potentially high or mid-second round pick, Seth Gamble. Again, a player that might be there when the Phillies, will probably definitely be there when the Phillies pick at 26, but I don't think he's somebody the Phillies go for. But, as a quality at bat or a quality player, dual positions, shortstop and outfield, he's going to have to choose at some point, probably outfield. But there you have it. Tonight's MLB draft prospect of the night, Seth Gamble from the IMG Academy in Florida. Oh my God, I missed the playoff. Yeah, I do. And now that it's the Xfinity Mobile Center, maybe that's part of it too. For those of you who didn't hear, Wells Fargo is no more. It'll be renamed the Xfinity Mobile. Am I saying this right? Xfinity Mobile Center starting in September. So maybe that's the thing. Maybe it was the Wells Fargo curse. Maybe our luck will turn now that it's not the Wells Fargo Center. I'm grasping on anything right now, Barbara, because I can't go 6 years without Flyer playoff hockey. Something has to give. All right, folks, we are not going to do the card of the night because I got to get back downstairs and help out with the bailing out of the house. We have a little flooding going on here. So we'll resume the card of the night tomorrow. I want to thank you guys for chiming in. Barbara, everyone else who took some time out here to come in and say hey. And we had a good show, good conversation, fun. Remind everybody that tomorrow night, immediately following the Phillies game, be back here for the Fighting's Final. Mike Laro is your host. I have you on Thursday and all the other great stuff that we got going on over the network throughout the week. It is truly an honor to come at you every single night. See you tomorrow as well, Barbara. Cannot wait. All right, you guys have a great rest of your night and even better tomorrow. We will see you and take care.